Today's video is all about fluency, and I'm going to teach you about something that isn't often taught. It's fairly advanced in terms of reducing an accent, and it's all about linking sounds. Let me give you an example. So in a word like they're interesting, we link the end of the word there, okay? So we're linking the R into the first vowel sound, the beginning of the next word, interesting, and we get they're interesting. And this is done whenever you have a consonant at the end of one word and a vowel at the beginning of the next. So we then create this nice link, which, as I said earlier, creates this nice sense of fluency. It just makes speech a little bit more fluid, and we tend to notice that someone is a native speaker when we hear this kind of fluidity in speech. And it's also something that can be achieved by using weaker vowels, and I've spoken about this in other videos in terms of weakened vowels. But the linking is just one other way in which you can create this nice fluidity that you hear when you listen to a native British speaker. So let me give you some more examples. So the first one was they're interesting. And I'm going to stick with this R consonant today, and I'll work on some other different consonant links, because actually sometimes we put a letter that's not really there at all in between the two words, but I'll save that for next week. So I've created a bit of anticipation now as to what I'm going to do next video. So let's carry on with the R's. Another great one would be an hour ago. So an hour ago. We're linking the end of the word hour with the beginning of the word ago. An hour ago. Rago. Can you hear that? An hour ago. And if you feel that you still need to work on your R sounds, you can just click on that little link up there somewhere, which will take you to a video working on the consonant sound R. And I really recommend doing that, because as you can see, it's not just the words that begin with R, but also words where you've got an R link. And the interesting thing about this word hour is that I'm not pronouncing the consonant sound R at the end, am I? Hour. Remember, we don't speak as we spell. The British language is a bit challenging sometimes because of this concept. But what we do is we use the R when we're linking. And this can be seen in lots of words, like the word were. Okay? See if I can think of a nice sentence with the word were. So if we were to link the word were, we might say, they were interesting. So we'll stick with that word interesting. They were interesting. They were interesting. And I'm slowing down there so you can really hear that link. But obviously the R isn't quite so obvious, because when we speak, naturally we use something called fast speech. And again, I'll see if I can create a nice video link for you at some point so that you can look at fast speech and slow speech as well. Another great thing to look up. I'm sure there are tons of videos on this on YouTube. It's another concept where, for instance, in slow speech, you're not going to hear the link so clearly. Were interesting, you'd hear a pause. But here, this is natural, ordinary, everyday speech, and we hear that link because it's known as fast speech, but actually it's just everyday speech. We hear the link in were interesting. Have a go with these. So you've got the word were with an R, you've got there, where there's an R ending as well, and you've got hour, and you're linking those words in. Just keep practicing these. Perhaps look up some other R ending words and see if you can create other links. What might be interesting for you to do is to look up some kind of audio book or a magazine which has an audio download and start listening and reading at the same time, and see if you can start hearing these links. Because you see, the mind is an interesting thing. It distorts and deletes. So when you don't understand something, when it's not part of your awareness, the human brain tends to distort and delete what is heard, so that if it's not within your understanding, you just don't hear it. So now that I've taught you this, your mind's going to stop distorting and deleting, and will start to hear it, okay? You may find that initially you need to consciously seek it out. You need to consciously look for these links and really listen for it in other people's speech. But you will start to hear it. It's conscious practice to start with. So get on with the R sounds this week. And next week I'll record another video with another linking sound, so you can start to really understand how to create a more fluid speech. Good luck everyone, and I'll see you next week.